Bitcoin clawing its way up, currently just below $13,500 amidst the unknown. Fear, uncertainty, doubt sweeping the globe, not just the cryptocurrency markets, but world events. U.S. election just 1 week away. How is Bitcoin going to react to all of this? What's up, everyone? Welcome to Crypto Capital Venture. Hit that subscribe and like on the way in. It means a lot. Let's jump into the video. Before we talk about these events and how Bitcoin might react to it, I wanted to just point out something notable. We've talked a lot about Bitcoin approaching right now the bull market doors. Very similar Fibonacci retracement, resistance area post 2016 halving, right? We've talked a lot about that. If we dig into these charts, you can just see, I want to point this out. Around 148 days or so post 2016 halving, Bitcoin was basically testing this area, the 618 on this Fibonacci retracement, this macro resistance area, the bull market doors. Now, if we look at where Bitcoin is right now, we're at a very similar area post 2020 halving, 155 days or so, testing the 618, pounding on the doors of the bull market. We've been talking about it so much on this channel, and really happening in real time is Bitcoin leading up to the 2020 elections. And you can just see back in 2016, the 2020 elections were basically, they're right in here, right? So we're at a very, very weird and similar area in terms of what Bitcoin is doing in so many aspects. And it's so interesting to watch. And I just wanted to just show that as a foundation to some of the things happening right now in Bitcoin charts, because we are testing, everybody, the bull market doors. And actually, if I just zoom in just a little bit, you can see Bitcoin above the 618 line on this daily chart right now. And it's going to be interesting to watch the short-term charts on Bitcoin. So I want to just take a look at this. This is the fear index in terms of the S&P 500. Here is what it looked like leading into right here, this day, the 2016 election. Interestingly enough, you can just see in terms of the index rising, the fear rising from this swing low, the end of October, right around where we are now, you can just see this index rose 76%. And this is a perfect representation of how the markets react to just unknown, right? And I don't want to get into, oh, well, it depends who wins the election, what's going to happen, how the markets are going to react. I don't even want to get into that. Put that aside for a second and just let's explore the fact that no matter what, when there is any piece of unknown in any markets, the fear rises, because that's how people are. They fear the unknown. But when the unknown becomes known, namely somebody gets elected, what happens? Right back to normal, right? The emotionality of the markets gets drawn back in. People calm down. People adjust. And, we're kind of, if we look at right now, leading into the 2020 election, potentially on our way, again, end of October, exactly when this started. This was October 25th when this rise began. Now we're basically October 26th, this rise potentially beginning, but you can see already up 15% or so on this S&P fear index. Will this continue going into the election? Are we going to get a big rise on this fear volatility index? Now, the other thing happening right now that I really haven't even mentioned is just this COVID news. Everything happening with that, many people reacting differently to it, but at the end of the day, the unknown surrounding it, and also the unknown of how people that really are fearful, how are they going to react to this, right? So that's just another element of what is playing into this volatility index leading into this election. It's incredibly interesting to watch how this is going to play out in literally the next week. So if we go over now to the actual charts in the S&P 500, and I'm going to compare this to Bitcoin because it's interesting, we can see the election was right here, the November 3rd, 2016 election right here. And you can see S&P 500 retracement bottomed out. And right as the fear index was turning around, going back down after the election, you can see how S&P 500 reacted. it did the same thing. It bounced, and we're off to the races. So that was 2016 election, right? Now, if we go to 2016 election for Bitcoin, what was Bitcoin doing? And that's really the big question. Was Bitcoin following all of these trends, right? Fear rising, S&P, and just to give you a sense, actually, this is important, from, I guess, this swing high leading into the election, the S&P 500 was down, but it was only down 5%. But it was a clear, just slow consolidation of unknown leading into the election. What was Bitcoin doing? Bitcoin was actually doing the opposite of that. Bitcoin was kind of actually seeing a swing high leading into literally election day, right? So we get a little a red candle on election day, literally on election day. For just context, we're talking like 8 to 10% to the downside before continuation back to the upside. Important to note, Bitcoin at this rise, yes, it was election day here, but Bitcoin was just below the bull market doors. Heavy resistance was above for Bitcoin. And it's interesting, if we look at the charts now, Bitcoin kind of doing something similar as it did in November 2016, really the fall of 2016 leading into the elections, which is a rise into this Fibonacci resistance, the bull market doors with the elections right here, November 3rd. And the question is, will Bitcoin kind of do what it did back in 2016? Maybe a slight type of retracement, some sort of reaction to the elections, or will Bitcoin just not even have something like this that it had in 2016? And will Bitcoin actually just continue into testing this 786 around $16,000 on the Fibonacci retracement? I think it's definitely wise to anticipate some type of pullback, because we've seen as traditional markets, S&P 500, react to certain news just recently. Bitcoin kind of does too. It definitely recovers, but we get these dips in Bitcoin that react kind of alongside S&P 500 with some type of news that is not welcomed by traditional markets. So be ready for something like that. And in yesterday's video, we really talked about a possible dip to like this 11,100, I think, down to 10,500 area. That is very much in play, even from just a technical analysis perspective. And if we get some type of new type of fear, new type of unknown in all markets, be prepared for that. In terms of upside, we also discussed in yesterday's video, there's a lot of room for Bitcoin to see continuation and to see a similar move as it did right here when Bitcoin broke in 2016 to the upside, right? And then in 2017 was above the bull market doors, was above this 786 line before the big consolidation. So we have plenty of room for that. But interestingly enough, if you look at all of this data, you can see Bitcoin is actually operating very similar to how it did in 2016. Namely, it has been trending upwards as the elections approach, and as also this huge resistance, the bull market doors, approach. It's going to be very interesting to watch how this plays out in the next week. We'll be tracking it, everybody. I just wanted to share some of this with you, share these charts with you. Let me know your thoughts, how you think Bitcoin will react. I know many of you have a lot of opinions out there in terms of these elections and how Bitcoin's going to react to whoever gets elected. So appreciate you cruising by. Hit that subscribe, hit that like. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.